nobody had to draw cards this time, or pay cards this time. So the hand is out there. We've got Galenius, and again, I guess we want to pick them up. I don't feel like this is terribly doing us a lot of good, but it's keeping this guy from getting any more points. And as long as this guy's in first, as soon as, which he will be, as soon as Numerian is gotten rid of, which we should be able to manage this time, then I'm going to have sort of a dominating position where I keep getting to make those draws. There's a possibility, that 2 leaders might come up at once, and that would hand one off to this guy, which would be a pain. This poor fellow's just shit out of luck, basically. He's in the wrong seat given the ordering. There would be a way of fixing that, which is to set the order of play based on the scoring. So the lowest valued person would get the first seat, the second lowest the second. As it stands, it should be giving that kind of ordering. The problem is that the deck gets reshuffled pretty much every time, and there's going to be just the last emperor in there, and that kind of doesn't really work. So I think a more complicated ordering is needed. Anyway, let's see what other people pick. So in terms of putting forth the options for the military, well, we got to get one here. It doesn't really matter who. He's not going to get anyone. He can put his own forth, but then it's dangerous that it might cause this guy to go ahead. So I'm going to put, I don't want to have to calculate it, so I'm going to put somebody I feel perfectly fine passing with. That gives me the pass, so I get the choice of the next card if I do that. This guy has no one, and we have militaries here. We'll put this guy forward. He's not particularly good for anything, but there's no way to prevent this guy, or no reason to prevent this guy. There's no way he can prevent it. He's going to grab the pass, so he gets the option, and we have a new emperor. Now, that gets rid of the military legate, so he becomes emperor, and the legate has to go here because this guy has no one who can receive the position. This guy has 2 positions, so he only has 1, so he can assign it to whomever he wishes. And he would like to send it to someone who's good against military stuff. These are emperors. I could steal a Goth if I had made this guy my candidate. That might have been a clever move. This guy has 2, 3, 4, 5 for the legate, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 20, 25 points. If I steal a Goth, that drops him to 21, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, let's do that. Let's promote this guy as my first candidate, and then I can steal a Goth, which weakens him a little bit. Okay. So who do I want to make legate? Well, I don't want to make my Cav Commander legate. I would love to, but then I'd get Cav Commander back. Sure. I'll make him legate. Now you got to assign me a Cav Commander. It's got to go to me again. And I'll take that. He's an interesting candidate, though, compared to legate. No, we'll leave him as Cav Commander. We'll make our legate bonuses versus Goths in Persia, but only as Emperor. He's an interesting candidate, as always. Goths in Persia doesn't really make a difference. I'll just put him here. Okay. And I'm the guy who passed first. I get to choose what I want to make for my card. I'm going to make it military again because I want to pump him out. He's an A-ranked guy. That should help me a great deal. Okay. Now the Emperor gets to... no, I'm sorry. We get to pick our cards. I don't know where they're going. The cards are out. Let's see the Ys. Palmyra. Why? Well, I'm not sure. I already have points towards Palmyra. If other people throw in there, it'll beat out Persia and I can take it. Of course, I can reorder things as I like, so it doesn't make much difference. And I have enough power that I can probably take on anything. Palmyra, why? Because he didn't have a lot of options, to tell you the truth. And he wanted, I don't know. I don't have a good answer there. It was a cheap card to spend. Persia, why? Because he has a strong Persia hand and not a lot of chances to do anything, so he wanted to boost Persia, maybe try to make it so it's hard for him to succeed at. And then the final was SPQR. Same reasoning. He's not going to get a chance to do anything. The SPQR card means that it won't be involved in the military. At least right now I have the option to bid in big and maybe beat him out for the military. He picked military, so that might work out well. So, what can we take out easily? We can't take out Palmyra. Goths don't exist. SPQR is too easy. So, what do we want? Well, we have a big Palmyra card. Palmyra's at the 9, though, which is not the number we want. We either want to go for 8, which is the lowest, or 13, which is the Persians, which is the highest. 8, which is the lowest, I throw an SPQR, and I burn that. And that'll get me 21 points, because I'm the Emperor. Nice score. To the Legate. The Legate's got a hard job. He could pick off a Palmyra. He doesn't have the power to take a Persia. He's not going to get anything. The SPQR he could have done, except he's the Legate. He can't attack that. So he scores nothing. He could play a Palmyra to try to knock one of them out, but that doesn't seem of any value. Which means... there goes our new Emperor. Alright, well, he's had his run. It's pretty unlikely he's going to get another chance to get a leader at this point until other people can catch up. The problem is there's only so much space for other people, and in particular this is the guy that we most want to get run. We should have been throwing SPQR out, because I could score him without flipping anything, but I can score him. He'll end up probably in the deck and coming to me first, so it's not that bad a thing. And then I can try to turn things around so that I get this in play. But no guarantees, because if I'm winning the election, someone else is probably passing first. I was able to keep this election and throw it to military only because I wanted someone else to win, and I wanted in particular the guy to my left to win. This is kind of a weird position. Like I mentioned, although I probably didn't use the words that I'm going to use, it's turned into a very stilted game. It's one player's in the lead with such a tremendous amount that another player is always got the big advantages, which means he gets to pick what he wants. For example, I'm going to take another person. How big a deal is that? Is that a guarantee? No. I think this guy could actually get one of his people into play as the Emperor, and that could change some things a little bit. But not much, because the victory conditions are so... the victory point spread is so big, and the two people closest to the lead have... the leading player and the next highest have no possibility of really easily getting another character. And I think this is a pathological situation just because we let someone get so far ahead, but it feels very wrong. I'm not going to say this breaks the game if this situation happens, because I do still feel like there's some chance of some kind of... First of all, this guy got so far ahead, maybe everybody should just concede now. However, I feel like this guy actually has a chance of engineering a victory, in particular because he has one of these sort of godlike powers, which he can throw Gordian II into the discard pile again and again and again, which I think is as powerful as the thing which allowed him to do so well, which was being the legate with um, with a character, I don't remember which one, who's able to reverse the order for victory point value of the different conflicts and strife available, which was a pretty potent combination because he could continuously select options that got him, the 15 victory points or at least a high value. Anyway, here we are trying to pick. He picked another character, and everybody else is going to pick points as best as they can see them. But I have to say, I think if I was sitting at this table in really any position except this guy's, I'd be like, well, this is no fun at all. I don't get to do anything. Whereas this guy has, I would probably dislike this even more because I would be sitting there trying to figure out, I dominate the table now. It's like, in a game of 1830, if you're playing with like 3 players, it's possible to dominate the table completely and prevent anybody else from being able to take a move that will really help them. Well, that's the position that this game has allowed here. And I can't say that I'm pleased with that. I'm in kind of an interesting position here. I don't know if I want to put him forward. The reason being, he just does not have anything he can beat out here. And I don't have cards that I can help. Other people have been grabbing the action cards or the influence cards because I took another character. And that kind of means that I don't feel like I have the ability to actually necessarily attack a problem. So I'm going to put forth good old Probus here. Now, that would make this guy thrilled. He has nothing he can do about it. This guy's unhappy, but this guy probably wants to beat it out because he has some opportunity with 4 characters out there to put something forward that can actually get him some points. In order to do that, well, I guess this is as good as anything that I have out there, except maybe Florianus. And the reason Thrax is kind of a benefit is he's an A-level leader. But that means I'm going to lose him to the B-level leader. However, I may get at least 3 shots at an Emperor and get my score maybe above these guys. Who knows? That puts First Pass over here, actually. So he'll get the option on what to pick. And he's not going to support this guy. He's going to pull him back. Well, he's actually in the lead. Hold on. That puts the pass over here. He is the number 2. However, he's going to boost his. If I can win, it'll be in Syria. And this guy's going to pull back and allow him to win. Okay. So that means we now have our Emperor. There are no positions open. And before we throw the cards down, this guy has to decide what he wants the next Emperor to be. And this is just problematic. There's no answer that he has that's good. He can either give points to these guys or try to end it. We know one thing, he's gone. The military option seems fine. I'll go with that. At least we'll get an Emperor who can handle something. I don't want the Emperor to even come out. I just want the game to end. At least I'm in second place with this. Maybe military is not the best option. Maybe with all my gold's not going to help. See, a Praetorian is going to be very weak. And that probably throws things towards this guy who's doing the worst. Sure, we'll put a Praetorian up. Because this guy can only be military, and this guy's going to be gone. So we're going to start knocking people out of the game. And he's tickled pink about it. And now everybody gets to extend the crises. How this works out, because the Emperor has decided, oh, I can probably take Persia. I'll throw some Palmyra in. But they're not the only one who's upping things. Jeez. Well, he couldn't have beaten Palmyra anyway, but Persia just got bigger. Persia just got up to 20. 6, 12, 18, 23. I can kill Persia. Persia's at 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is at 18. I get the big 21 points for getting Persia out of the way. What about our Legatus? Well, he doesn't have much. He has -3 versus Palmyra, and no cards to add. He's going to fail to draw any points there. And Palmyra has become quite huge for what it is. We lose all our Persia cards. Karis is added to the Imperial track, and that is that. One kind of neat thing about what I'm doing here, I'm just doing what I always do with games, but in Rick's case, because he's got a print and play situation and living rules primarily in most of these games, he's getting almost a blind test out of me, in that, you know, I don't go ask him how to interpret a rule or something, and he's getting this complete video, you know, coverage of how I'm trying to puzzle through issues in the rules and how I react to certain things, which is kind of a cool thing, I guess. It's not too helpful to somebody who's already got a game out there fully published, you know, from the printer, etc. But it's kind of neat to see it in this situation. And in particular, he was able to come up with a couple of things. First of all, I guess I just made an error. This, I don't think, was a rules error, where a couple of the players, and I would guess these guys over here, got shafted in the early draw of cards. I'm not sure quite why. I don't know. Like I skipped a draft for them or something. Or maybe it was these guys. I don't know. The guy's on the far end of the table, and I'm not sure which. There's a lot of ways you could do that. It could be those two. I don't look at my videos, so I don't really know. But the other has to do with the Legatus, and this is a case where I think the rules have omitted an important piece of information. The Legatus is intended to whatever cards he plays, and you know what? I've been cheating on this anyway. He shouldn't be able to take his whole pile, even how I read the rules, and affect anything he likes. Now, he may not have had to ever, I'm not sure, but I certainly was taking that into my idea of how he operated. He's only allowed to play 0 to 2 cards in a crisis, and that comes either from his hand or from the cards that have already been played on him. Now, the one difference that was pointed out to me between the intention and what I see the rules as actually written is that the Legatus has to discard those cards after they've been used for that. So, you know, is that completely, you know, I can see where it's possible to try to interpret the rules that way, but it definitely needs a clarification if that's what's intended. On the other hand, I definitely also, at least in my mind, was starting to view him as this massive power with army, you know, strength in all different areas of the board, or all, not really board, but all different regions that there could be a crisis in. And there may have been cases where points were generated that should not have been, even under my understanding of the rules, just because I kind of forgot my understanding of the rules. That's something that happens, unfortunately. Okay, so we're ready to kick off another deal of cards here, just to show we had another pull of a card from everyone. One thing I do want to make clear, though, is I'm not going to change the rules in the Legatus for the remainder of the game. The only way that anyone has a chance of catching up to, in my opinion, is to utilize that power. And even then, I think there's just too many guys over on their B side at this point. However, Guardian could be reused again and again and again, and that could allow, you know, someone like Gallienus to collect up enough points without ever dying. But it doesn't look possible with the tableau in terms of just what people are holding. Remember, these cards are all face down in the player's hands. I just like to have them all available in a game like this. And it's kind of a weird situation because nobody's got a lot of gold, and the selection was the Praetorians. Well, so I put forward this one, and he put this one forth. First option to pass is over there, and he must take it. This guy has no opportunity to beat him, though. He's sitting on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll pull him back. He didn't have anybody who's not in a B rank. He's basically hoping to score twice and prevent this guy from scoring. And this guy is the one guy who has a chance to maybe catch up to this by using the couple special powers he has, Guardian and this in the Legatus. But I don't think we're going to see that, because that guy's going to keep trying to force emperors to disappear. And it really is a case where he just ran away with the game so much that I think it created some situations that wouldn't normally occur. Okay, where are we? So we've got our bid, we've got our emperor. We have no new positions. He didn't take the prefect, so he's up here. And now everybody's got to select their cards. And he's going to want to try to score some points. His problem is Palmyra here, he may change office holders other than the Legatus. I wonder how that's supposed to work. Unfortunately, although there's information, and this may be in the fact, but I peeked at it and it didn't look like it had this kind of thing. There's information on each leader, but none of it has anything directly to do with the game. It's all just historical information there, rather than, like, you know, a leader compendium with their special abilities explained. So how do I read this? As emperor may change office holders other than Legatus. That could be read a lot of ways. I could just have sort of ultimate dominance. Hey, that office goes over there. Or I could just be removing offices from people and then assigning them as I would normally. There's not a lot of advantage to either case because I'm sitting on 2 offices here. So I think I'm going to neglect that ability. And I have to think in particular about what the hell I want out there. It may well be a big SPQR and hope that I can get a second level point to 15 points. That'll put me actually into second place here. And that's probably as well as I can hope to do in this game. Let's see what the choices are. Our Emperor, as I said, put his big SPQR in there. He's hoping to trump everything except the Palmyrans. Over here, gold. That's probably going to go over to the Palmyrans. A Persian. And another Palmyran. This guy put Persians up because he'll be able to score points off his own Persian card. That's pretty much the best he can hope for here. The gold gets linked with the Palmyrans. That ain't going anywhere. The Emperor has the ability to do the SPQR. He's got 4. He throws 6 more in, and he gets a victory, and that'll get him 15 points. And like I said, that ends up at 52, and let's pretend that I meant to write that the way I kind of did there somehow. And now we go over to the Legatus, and the Legatus says, well, I can take the second place. I can't possibly take the other one. So I'll throw this on. Now this, by my way of playing so far, stays with him, but this would change if I'm playing by the rules as they were intended. He would have to discard that. He gets a second place finish. That also is worth 15 points for player 2. and that puts him up to fairly close to the top. And now we have a problem. We have some cards that get discarded. Florianus is out of the game. That's one of the two leaders that I have to have removed from the game for the game to come to an ending. And you know what? This asshole forgot to pick his thing. What is he going to pick? He'll pick Praetorian again. He wants to try to push it over into that camp again, and he thinks that's the best way of doing it. Phew. And for what looks like it's being engineered as the final turn by this guy who doesn't think he can do better than second, and our first place player. Everybody had to give up 2 cards this time to fill out the pool. Remember, there are less of these available this turn. That's part of it. But also the actual pool of cards has just gotten so tight. It's because things are getting tied up in places where they aren't available. I could actually see, I think it may be possible for the game to get it into a state where there would not be enough cards for this available among the players' possessions if the crises got big enough. I think if that kind of really horrible situation came forward, you should probably call the game and say Rome has just disintegrated. That would probably be the most reasonable solution, because the crises would have to be humongous, like this Palmyra one is, where nobody's able to solve them worth crap. So it's time to start doing the drafting, and again, it always starts over here. And after the drafting, we have our candidates here. Cottus as Emperor. He discards any other crisis. He has Praetorian 2. This guy has Praetorian 4 because of his position, which means he's going to have to come up with more than 2 gold. He only has 2 gold. He can't beat it. For whatever it's worth, this will go here. Just going to pick SPQR just in case something weird happens. But he gets the Empire. He loses his Praetorian position. That's got to be assigned to somebody with the least offices who's eligible. Well, I have 2 offices. He has 2 offices. It goes to him first. He gets the option to take it. I'll take the 3rd Gordian. Doesn't really make a difference, just because he's not going to have... This is really the last emperorship. This emperor's a B side. He's discarded when he's done. He's going to be able to be... the only real goal here is to prevent the Legatus from getting any additional points. Whatever I can get, that's great. That might keep me ahead, but I want to make sure I don't get him. And this guy is actually playing along to try to keep the Legatus from getting points, because at least he comes in 3rd if he can stop him. And for the selections, the Emperor picked Palmyrans. Why? That's a good way to keep him from being able to beat it. I feel like I've got a shot at beating anything except for the Palmyrans. So if I beef them up, that'll prevent him, or help prevent him. Over here we got some gold. That's going to go to the Palmyrans. Some Goths. That's what he wants. And boom, a whole bunch more Palmyrans. Some gold on there. The Goths are here. The Emperor is going to say, bye-bye Goths. That's 2nd rate. So it's worth 15 points. Putting him to 67. And it is over. Because when he dies, he's the 2nd emperor to have gone away. And that's what we saw here. And I doubt that players who know what they're doing are liable to make the kind of errors that I feel like I made here, in terms of not trying to knock out a Legatus who's making lots of points. On the other hand, the Legatus would not have been able to make the amount of victory points that he's collected in this game under the rules as they were intended to be played. whether or not they were written that way. Um, I'll come back with a review. It's hard, when a game diverges, when my play of a game diverges from the rules to an extent that it changes the overall experience this much. It's hard to say a hell of a lot about it. But I think I can say some general things in the review, so I will come back for that. Yeah, I intend to add this to the final part of the playthrough. Rick caught me on some more errors there. And this is just a matter of, I don't know what happens, but I remember a rule, I'm playing with it for a while, and then it disappears from my memory here. In this particular case, what was it? And I know I caught this one both in the introduction to the rules, but also in play for a while. You can't draft a personality if there are other, if anybody else has less than you do, I think it was. And we saw the game kind of ending in that kind of situation where it got stalemated because I ended up forgetting that rule existed. I just get into a pattern and start playing, and boom, I got into this. Oh yeah, well, I can always take the guy. No, that wasn't the case. So that was another issue. And I just feel like I've just completely blown this one in so many ways. Crap.